Let's go over the questions to the story Operation Rescue Possum. The questions are on page 102 all the way to 104. On page 104, we're just going to do question 5, okay? Follow along as I read the questions out loud. After I've read them all, you can pause it, do your best on all of them, and when you're ready for me to review the answers, you can press play. Number 1. Where does Jakey find the stuck possum? A. By the house. B. In the workshop. C. By the barn. D. In the woods. Number 2. This question has 2 parts. First, answer part A, then answer part B. Part A. What did Jakey think of Artie and Danny's plan? A. He didn't understand it. B. He thought it was a great idea. C. He didn't think it would work. D. He was afraid it would hurt the possum. Part B. Write a sentence from the story that helped you answer the question in Part A. Remember, Part B questions are often support for the answer that you get in Part A. Number 3, read the sentences from the story. Jakey dragged the board around the house. He slid it into the window well. Which question do these sentences answer? A. Who went to the workshop in the barn? B. Why were Danny and Artie planning to make a harness? C. Where did Jakey find the board he dragged around the house? D. How did Jakey plan to get the possum out of the window well? Number 4. This question has 2 parts. First, answer part A, then answer part B. Part A. Read these sentences from the story. We've got to get that possum out, Artie and Danny said. Time for Operation Rescue Possum. What does rescue mean in the sentence? A. Trick. B. Find. C. Save. D. Catch. Part B. Underline the words in the sentences in Part A that helped you answer the question. Let's go to number 5. Read the sentence from the story. Then it waddled up the board and out of the window well and into the woods behind the barn. What do you think waddled means in this sentence? A. The possum ran quickly. B. The possum walked slowly. I'm sorry, that says quickly. B. The possum walked quickly. C. The possum slid like a snake. D. The possum moved slowly. Now I would like you to pause the video, answer all the questions, and then press play when you're ready to review the answers. Okay, let's go over our answers. Number 1. Where does Jakey find the stuck possum? If you don't remember right off the top of your head where he finds the stuck possum, we can always look back to the text. Remember, there's no problem with going back to what we read. So the choices are either by the house, in the workshop, barn, or in the woods. Let's look back to the text. One thing I remember is that in paragraph 4, it says Jakey's big brothers came around the corner of the house. And that's where they asked him, what you got there, Jakey? So if they came around the house to talk to Jakey, maybe Jakey is by the house. But just to be sure, let's look at the other locations that are mentioned. I see right here, workshop. But this is after because it says they hurried to their workshop. And where's the workshop? In the barn. So I feel like workshop and barn are somewhere different from where the possum must be. Also, if you look at paragraph 17, it says, then it waddled up the board and out of the window well and into the woods behind the barn. So it goes into the woods at the end of the story. So I don't think it's the workshop, the barn, or the woods. So I think the answer is A, by the house. For number 2, this has 2 parts. And like I said before, whatever answer you choose in part A, it should be supported by whatever you chose for part B. Part A says, what did Jakey think of Artie and Danny's plan? He didn't understand it. Now there may have been some confusion for Jakey because he did ask a couple questions, so maybe we can think about that one. B, he thought it was a great idea. For this one, I'm not too sure. I know he may not have said, oh, I think this is a great idea, but he had lots of questions and he ended up getting the board himself, so I don't really think that maybe he thought it was that great of an idea. So let's keep going. C, he didn't think it would work. I think this also might be a possible answer because he did ask questions when he wasn't really sure about their plan. So maybe it could be C. We'll come back to that. D, he was afraid it would hurt the possum. Now the story does talk about they did not want to hurt the possum, but was it Jakey who said it? If you look at paragraph 8, it says, we don't want to touch the possum, Artie said. It might bite. Besides, it looks too big just to lift. So actually reading that, it's not about hurting the possum really, I guess. It's more about they don't want to get hurt. So I was wrong about that. But maybe this is how they're trying to trick you, because you remember that it says something about being bit or something related to being hurt. So I think that's how they're trying to trick you. So I don't think it's D either. So I don't think it's B or D. So we're looking back at A or C. I'm thinking that if Jakey got the board by himself to see if he could rescue the possum, it must be because he didn't think their idea was going to work. So I would choose answer C. And the reason I think this is the answer is that when I look back, the first time I get the idea that he may not think it will work is when he asks the question, how will you get the possum to stay on the platform? It seems like he questioned their ability to rescue the possum. So I feel like this sentence is a big clue that he thought maybe it won't work. So I would write this sentence from paragraph 10 for part B, because that sentence helps me get the answer that I chose here, which was C. Number 3, Jakey dragged the board around the house. He slid it into the window well. It says, which question do these sentences answer? So this is like a reverse question. We've just seen the answer. We got to figure out now which question matches the answer. Who went to the workshop in the barn? Does this tell you who went to the workshop? No. So it's not A. B. Why were Danny and Artie planning to make a harness? Jakey dragged the board around the house? Does that answer that? No. I don't think it's B either. C. Where did Jakey find the board he dragged around the house? Does this tell you where he found the board? I don't really think so. D. How did Jakey plan to get the possum out of the window well? We might see an answer here. We know he dragged the board and he slid it into the window well. So I think the answer is D. Because if we ask this question, I think we're able to answer it. Let's look at number 4. Again, this one has 2 parts. That means whatever answer we choose in part A, we should be able to find the proof in part B, okay? So we're supposed to figure out, what does rescue mean in this sentence? For this word, if you don't really know it, you could think about other times you may have heard the word. So I'm thinking, I've heard the word rescue like helping someone, but maybe I don't see the word help. But I kind of got a clue in my head, okay? I'm thinking help. So I'm going to reread these sentences and see if I can figure out which answer is best. We've got to get that possum out, Artie and Danny said. Time for Operation Rescue Possum. So they're wanting to get the possum out, and that's what they're going to call the Operation Rescue Possum. So I think it's similar to what I said. It's about helping. So let's see. Is helping the same thing as trick? No. If anything, it might be the opposite. B. Do you think it's like the same as find? But they know where the possum is, so I don't think they're trying to find it. So I don't think it's B. C is save. I think save may be very similar to the word help. But just in case, let's look at D. D says catch. Now, they may be trying to help it by getting it and removing it, which is kind of like catching. But if someone says rescue, that always doesn't mean catch. So I think the best option is C, save. Part B says we should underline the words in the sentences in Part A that helped us answer this question. So I say the answer is C, save. What words helped me figure out that it could mean save? For me, it's what Artie and Danny said. They said, we've got to get that possum out. That tells me they're trying to help it or save it. Now for the last question, let's turn the page and do number 5. Then it waddled up the board and out of the window well and into the woods behind the barn. What do you think waddled means in the sentence? The possum ran quickly. It walked why do I want to say quietly? It says quickly, I'm sorry. The possum walked quickly. The possum slid like a snake. The possum moved slowly. I'm thinking, let me look back at the picture. If a possum is trying to go across the board to get out, I don't think it would run really fast. It's a very narrow board. I don't think it'd want to accidentally fall off. So I don't think waddled would mean too quickly. So I don't think it's A or B, because I don't think he'd be moving quickly. And waddled, I don't think it means sliding like a snake either. So if I know it's probably not going to be quickly and he's not sliding like a snake, I think that leaves it where the answer is D. The possum moves slowly. Another reason why I think this might be the answer is because I'm sure I've heard the word waddled before. A lot of people say that penguins waddle. So when I imagine them moving, it's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. Like the way they move is like back and forth like this. Have you ever seen people waddle like a penguin? When you see people waddle, are they moving pretty fast? No, it's kind of slow. So I think the answer is D. The possum moved slowly.